at 9 a.m. on Invicta FM 98.9. Join the conversation via phone-in and comments on our social media handles. Powered by Partnership for Issue-Based Campaigns in Nigeria, PICAN, and Invicta FM 98.9, Kaduna. The Agenda. Nigeria, my agenda. The Agenda. Arise, O compatriots. Nigeria's call obey. The Agenda. Nigeria, my agenda.
Good morning and glad to be with you on the program, The Agenda. On this program, we'll be talking about issue-based concerns here. And we'll be looking at the political scene and, of course, what is coming out as we get ready for 2023. What Nigerians must know, what Nigerians must do, what Nigerians must demand for, and what Nigerians have a right to. The Agenda is a program that is being put together by some concerned groups that are here with me in the studios this morning, and every Thursday on Invicta 98.9 at this time of 9 a.m. the Agenda would take place. And of course, this is the maiden edition of the program, and here we'll get to talk with members of the Partnership for Issue-Based Campaigns in Nigeria, PICAN, and we'll talk about what the agenda is set to do. Join me as we come back for the program. Glad to have you on the program once again. The Agenda this morning comes up every Thursday on Invicta 98.9, and it is the first that we're having in this series of discussing issues concerning the Nigerian state. And of course, the political terrain is would be in the fore here in Nigeria, is what we must do, what we have to do, and what we must demand to get from those that are coming out and putting themselves out for us to, consider them in matters of elections. And this morning I have with me in the studios, to my immediate right, left in the studios this morning, can give you a description, pictorial description of how we're seated. Yeah, but to my left this morning, immediate left, I'll say, I have Lawrence Ubewe. Lawrence Ubewe is a member of the Partnership for Issue-Based Campaigns in Nigeria, PICAN. Lawrence Ubewe, good morning. Glad to have you here.
Good morning, Tony. Good
I
morning,
also
Nigerians.
have, they are regulars on my program, on Invicta, I should say, but they are, partnership for, members of Partnership for Issue-Based Campaigns in Nigeria, PICAN. Yusuf Goje is also here with me, also member of the Partnership for Issue-Based Campaigns in Nigeria. Yusuf Goje, good morning. Glad to have you here.
Good morning, this rainy, cool morning.
Okay. And we're all dressed up. You just keep on imagining how dressed up we are. But if you're following us on our Facebook page, you'll get to see us and get a picture of us. We ask you to join us on all these platforms to discuss on, to put your comments too on what will be coming out or dishing out to you this morning. But let me start with you, Yusuf Goji. It is coming at this time, and it is about concerns. It is about where we must, try to, tilt Nigerians to go to. This is not what it should be again. This is about the people we want, the people we ask to represent us, what we want from them, how we should go about it, and stuff like that. But just let's start this way: that partnership for issue-based campaigns in Nigeria. What's the trust? What's the focus? What are the objectives? That you have here for the teaming populace out there.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Tony, for having us today. And I would not start without thanking Invicta, particularly for being at the forefront of ensuring that citizens and the media itself begin to rally round and set the agenda for our candidates that are hoping to come seeking for our votes. And not only that, even after elections, holding them accountable. So really we commend Invicta for supporting this initiative and for partnering with the Partnership for Issue-Based Campaign in Nigeria. So like you are aware, Nigeria is a very complex country, and every time it is election time, every nook and crannies of the society is upbeat. 5 things determine our elections in this country, 4 of which is what we have paid so much emphasis of, and the 5th we have largely not talked much about it. And the first thing that will determine the 2023 election, 1 is insecurity, 2 is ethno-religious suspicion and mistrust, 3 money politics, you have 4 where we look at democratic institutions like INEC, security agencies, and even the judiciary. But the 5th are the issue-based campaigns, the real issues that should really be the focus of any campaign period, because campaign period is like a marketplace of ideas where the candidates come to sell, and we, the citizens, sit down, evaluate what they are selling, then we bargain and end up going for whatever product that favors our taste or desire. So it is in that light that we have noticed the trend over time. What majorly characterized the conversations during election is rhetorics, sloganeering, and vague statements. And most times people, when they get into power, they now get to understand that initially what they were talking about before election is a different ball game, and at the end of the day you have a lot of broken promises that were never in the first place realizable. And it is in that direction that civil society organizations, tech community actors, media development partners decided to look at it critically and say that the major issues that confront us are governance issues and developmental issues, and we should put them in the forefront of the 2023 conversation, so that at the end of the day we would not be blinded by ethnicity, by religion, or by money, and we end up putting the wrong people in the wrong place. And looking at statistics, 2023 presents us a rare opportunity of either making Nigeria greater or breaking Nigeria into pieces. Already, I don't need to rehash the insecurity situation we face. Already, you know where we are in terms of poverty. About 95 million people are said to be poor in terms of headcount poverty and all of that. If you look at unemployment and underemployment, is approaching 60% of our population. If you look at the fact that we have about 13 or 15 or so out of school children, when you look at the fact that we are 103 when it comes to the hunger index, and if you look at we are almost at the top in global terrorism index, you look at inflation 17%. So these are recipes for disaster. So if we don't get the right people to get into power in 2023 that can immediately come in and address these issues, particularly in the context that we have a debt crisis that is almost 41 trillion naira. We have a situation that we also have another revenue crisis that is now becoming even more difficult to even pay salary to government workers. So these are the issues that really pulled us together to say we need to set this agenda for all candidates coming into contest for 2023, then also scrutinize their individual selves, scrutinize the plans that they have. So you say you will build roads. Where will you get the money to build that road? How would that road translate to improving our economic development? And so these are, in a general term, what the Partnership for Issue-Based campaign in Nigeria is promoting. And we believe that the radio station is one of the best way where we can have mass education, mass mobilization of citizens to ensure that we vote based on the best that the country can offer, and not because of only sentiment. We can't do away with sentiments, we can't do away with money politics, but we need to upgrade issues into the conversation leading to the 2023 elections.
Sure. Lawrence Obewe, critical here, and this is about the people and how we get to fine-tune the minds of the people to take another look at what it had been like. And here you're talking about putting away religious sentiments and putting away money, and of course looking at the the umpires here, and of course again looking at the institutions that that are there for us when we come to talking about elections. But I'm just thinking about how to do it and how to get it done here, and how fast we can get it done. 2023 is just around the corner, and of course we mobilizing the people and saying it should not be business as usual, because business as usual would be about ethnicity, religion, and what party you belong to. So if we're not looking at the parties as they come to us, and if we're not looking at them, talking on issue-based issues, what are those things that are issue-based, that should be issue-based to us, that we may want to go and say, this man really comes out with something that we can all look at?
Okay, thank you for having me. I think that all the primordial sentiments that you have just argued, you can all put them to be darkness in Nigeria. And I think that there's a general saying that once light comes, darkness gives way. I think what the agenda is set out to do is to begin to bring light to people. I think the major campaign around Nigeria has been for people to get their PVCs. But you and I knows that PVC in the hands of ignorant people is as useless as not voting, because if you have PVC and you go out to vote, you don't know what the issues are. You now begin to vote based on religion. You begin to vote on ethnicity and other sentiments like that. It doesn't make sense, because one critical thing in Nigeria, and everybody must agree to it, is the fact that insecurity affects everybody. It doesn't cut across. It doesn't choose religion. It doesn't choose ethnicity. Poverty, the same thing. Unemployment, the same thing. Out of school children, the same thing. So there are issues in Nigeria, and those issues are the ones that directly affect the citizens. So how are the citizens going to make sure that they don't abandon these key issues and focus on these primordial sentiments? That's what the agenda is set to do, to bring to light. Because in this agenda, you bring those would-be politicians, those people seeking our votes, to come and tell us what their programs are. Not to come and campaign based on their candidates, no, but to campaign based on what they have set out to do with people. And it doesn't stop there. There'll be scrutiny of those programs, because you have to now begin to ask the how, the what, and the whys. Because it's not enough to say that you're going to build a road. As my colleague said, where are you going to get the money? And how does building that road translate to outcome? Reducing traffic, for instance, improving the lives of citizens and all that. So the critical questions will be asked, and listeners will be listening. Listeners will ask questions where the need arises. And that begin to shed more light, begin to make them have informed choices on the election day. It's not going to, you have talked about the short time, but I think we have about 6-7 months to the election. I think that's the highest we've had in Nigeria. So I think that Nigerian citizens will begin to see election in another manner. We've always talked about the relationship between politics and governance, or the difference between politics and governance. But I don't think you can take one away from the other one. Politics now is how they want to get to office. Governance is what they do when they get to that office. So how do they do what they will do when they get there if they don't have an idea? Because sometimes you interrogate politicians, one of the startling revelations will be that some of them are not even sure what they are going to do there. They just want to get to the office. So the question is, do you allow such people to occupy offices when knowing fully well that the life and well-being of citizens, including their security, depends on the decision these people are going to take. So the agenda is cut out. I think it's very germane. And as my colleague said, 2023 is a big opportunity for Nigeria. It's an opportunity for us to choose whether we are going right or left. Unfortunately for us, we don't have plenty luxuries of choices because we're already there. I think we are on the cliff. It's a matter of whether we jump in or somebody drags us back. So the agenda is going to try to put the information out there to be able to drag Nigeria back from falling off the cliff. And I think that's what we're set out to do.
It's so good, Jim. Nigeria as it is largely an uneducated society. Largely. That in the majority, you have the uninformed and the uneducated. And so, reaching out to these people, because again, the presentation of the agenda would be about, telling Nigerians what to do, how to do, and getting the right people there. But for an uninformed society in the majority and uneducated, majority, and again, we know how, some people, call them stakeholders too in these matters, have influencers of our society. What are your concerns about influencers? And when I talk about influencers, it will be about religious leaders. It will be about the money bags. It will also be about those that can shape opinions. What is the agenda going to do about these people, when, they are, the majority of the uneducated and the uninformed are in their hands?
Yes, so I want to say that, completely putting it into context, the average man at the local level is not uninformed. He might be an illiterate in terms of Western education. But if you go to the farthest bushes in Kaduna State or anywhere in Nigeria, you see the local man with his radio, either listening to BBC Hausa or BBC Yoruba, or he's listening to any of these local radio stations. And most times, the conversations going on there are political conversations. So what we have also done is that we have largely not communicated effectively to those categories of people. So they are usually exposed to hired media supporters, I don't want to use the word, or attack dogs that come to the media and say this is. So that is largely what influences the ordinary man at the grassroots level. But in terms of being informed, he might even be more informed than we, because he spends large percentage of his the day listening to the local station. But having said that, the agenda is, for this particular English component, is first focusing on the middle class. And like we have always said, the middle class might not be the middle class that is idealistic in terms of definition. But to us, as long as you're educated, you're exposed, you're enlightened, probably you have something doing, even if you don't have, but you have the capacity to understand issues. We categorize you as a middle class. And why did we arrive at that category of people? The average person that we classify as a middle class person goes back to his local community. His peers, even his older ones and younger ones, will want to come around him and sort his opinion on certain issues, because people in the rural areas believe that this person should be informed, should have knowledge on issues, and to a large extent, directly or indirectly, he has influence on their political preferences and all of that. So we believe that if you look at statistics in 2019, like we have always said, about 82 million registered voters. Out of that 82 million registered voters, only 27 million voted. Out of that 27 million that voted, only 15 million voted the president, which means that we are not practicing democracy, because it is the minority that enthrones the president that we currently have. Subsequently, if you look at Kaduna State, out of about 3 million voters, we have just 1.9 that came out to vote. Out of that 1.9, just about 1 million voted for the current governor. Then he's followed the runner-up, about 800,000. Combined, they make up only 46% of the total eligible voters in Kaduna State, which is still in the minority combined. So the question we ask ourselves, who are the remaining 50-something million as regards the presidential, and about 56 or so, 54 million in Kaduna State that did not go out to vote? We now found out that they are largely the middle class who believe that politics or elections is dirty, who would rather come on social media, speak all the big grammar, but on election day, they hide in their rooms and watch Netflix, rather than go and become politically active and vote. So we believe that if we are able to have a consensus among this category of people to say that with the education you have, with the exposure you have, you carry out this message of issue-based campaigning to your community. Because when we go and sit down taking shayi, when we go and watch football matches and we argue politics, or when we sit down in the front yard of our houses, we discuss politics. So, but the content of our discussion is what we want to see whether we can shape that narrative, to begin to ask the critical question, rather than discussing Muslim, Christian, or whatever ticket, which is, we are not saying it's not important. But the reality is that, like my colleague said, poverty does not recognize whether you're Christian or Muslim. So also all the other negative things that are affecting us. So on a scale, why don't you ask the real question? Yes, if this guy is from the same religion or ethnicity as me, does he have what it takes to address the poverty I'm in? Does he have what it takes to address the unemployment that I am in? Does he have what it takes to ensure that even if I'm working, he will reduce inflation so that my salary will make sense to me? Because a lot of people are working, but their salaries is not making sense. Inflation, food rises, cost of food, cost of transportation, and all of that is making nonsense of the salaries that people are earning. So those are the questions we should ask first. Then afterwards, we can look at, okay, let's talk about unity, let's talk about balancing, and all of those other issues. So this is one critical area that we feel the middle class has a role to play in all of this process. And what we want to do with this program is to put the information out for them, put the data out for them. We'll be doing analysis with real-time data that would ensure that people are able to go back and really understand these issues, so that when you queue up, you're not queuing up because this person represents your religion, your ethnicity, or because he has given you money. It is because you know that, yes, despite all of these factors, this person has what it takes to do what he said he would do. He has the integrity, he has the capacity, he has the competence, he has the character, he has the compassion, he has the credibility, and he has the courage and commitment to deliver on good governance. And that is what this conversation would be, this agenda program will be pushing for. And we are not saying we will have overnight success, but we believe that we will bring about a significant shift in how people engage in the electoral process. We'll discuss why people, because it's not, like Lawrence said again, it's not about having your PVC. You need to understand the relationship of, one, if we have bad roads, bad hospital, bad education, it is because we have bad governance, because the people making those decisions are not able to make good decisions. Then we'll now link governance with the leadership selection process. It is because we are selecting these bad leaders. So it means if we select good leaders, they will implement good policies, and it will ensure that we have good roads, we have good education, we have good health care, and it will improve the living standard of every resident of Nigeria or Kaduna State.
The program is The Agenda, and made an edition of it, reaching you from Invicta 98.9 this morning. And I have with me members of the Partnership for Issue-Based Campaigns in Nigeria, PCAN. And it's the most listened to program. The Agenda comes up every Thursday on this station. And what you need to know, who you think would the cap would feed, and who you think can steer the ship of leadership, is for you to get to know, so that you make informed choices, as it is. Lawrence Obewe with me in the studios, and Yusuf Guji, all members of the Partnership for Issue-Based Campaigns in Nigeria, PCAN. We'll go for a commercial break. When we come back, we'll be looking at other issues.
We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. Are you serious? For real, are you serious? Victor FM. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. Are you serious? For real, are you serious? Victor FM.
Cup of coffee. Whoa. Taste it the creamy coffee taste of Cowbell Coffee. Round the clock, it's really delicious. Taste it and you will love it. Cowbell Coffee. Taste the creamy side of coffee.
Now available in multi-pack pouches at 750 Naira only.
Injin mota da baya samun kula yakan tsufa da wuri, shi yasa injiniyoyin mu suka kirkiro man injin quartz tare da fasahar jure shekaru, wato age resistant technology. Wannan muhimmin ci gaba ne wanda ke tabbatar da kyakkyawan aiki da kariya daga lalacewar inji har zuwa 74 cikin 100. Zaɓin mai inji na Quartz shine zaɓen man da ke rike inji kamar sabo na tsawon lokaci. Quartz Mega Promo da Total Energies na ba da damar iya samun kyaututtuka idan kuka sayi man injin Quartz na lita 4 ko lita 5. Akwai kyaututtuka da yawa za a iya samu a wannan gasar har ma da sabuwar mota. Ziyarci kowane gidan man fetur na Total Energies ko masu izinin sayar da man Quartz don shiga. Wannan gasar za ta fara daga 1 ga watan Yuli zuwa 31 ga watan Agustan 2022. Akwai ka'idoji da matakan gasar.
And enjoy every SmackDown from Roman Reigns, every move from Bianca Belair, every title challenge for Seth Rollins and other stars in the WWE.
To fly over the top, down goes Reigns.
Get Raw wrestling action with DSTV.
All your favorite WWE superstars on the dedicated WWE channel DSTV 128. Now available on DSTV Confan. DSTV, it's your moment.
Power and performance. That's what you get in every So Clean concentrated detergent pack. Power and performance. The essence of Paris Saint-Germain. With the concentration of powerhouse players, Kylian Mbappe, Neymar Jr., Lionel Messi, Sergio Ramos, and Achraf Hakimi. The partnership of concentrated power now forged. So Clean, the official regional partner of Paris Saint-Germain.
Honey, must you go?
Babe, you know I must. Besides, you can always video call me.
Hey, what if your battery runs out?
I've got my power bank.
Hey, and when your power bank runs out?
Babe, I've got my laptop.
Okay, wait. What if your data runs out?
Babe, you know we never run out of data.
Never run out of data with Airtel Home Broadband Unlimited Ultra plans. Enjoy unlimited data with no speed cap plus extra data daily, so you never have to worry about running out. Visit www.airtel.com.ng/HBB to get started.
Babe, but I just left the house.
Yes, honey. It's video calling all the way.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Power oil, power oil. Cooking oil, we get different sizes and different packs. Power oil, power oil. The one way they sweet me now mini pack 400 Naira. Yeah. Power oil, power oil. Everywhere. Power oil, good for your heart. Power oil, cholesterol. Power oil, no trans fat. Power oil. And people who listen to your heart use power oil. Power oil, power oil. Power oil.
Yalla bai barka da yamma da daren nan to shikenan ba komai ku dakata yau fa ba fa tashi sai mun gama aikin nan da daren nan to me zai hana mu warware hanji da ganyen shayin top tea mu ji daɗi ganyen shayin top tea ɗaya kacal mai inganci da ɗanɗano zai baka kofin shayi kwarara biyu sai a ɗanɗana domin gane kamshi na kwarai da nishaɗi zamantakewa da kuma ɗaukaka ɗanɗana domin sanin top tea.
Oh, they tell me still time to save my soul, they tell me.
With gratitude to God for a life well spent, we announce the transition of our patriarch, Major Samson Udoku, retired Deputy Controller, Nigerian Correctional Service, who passed on to glory on the 15th of June 2022 at the age of 68 years. Funeral rites are as follows. Service of songs is scheduled for 13th July 2022 by 5 p.m. at St. Christopher's Anglican Church, 14 Sokoto Road, Kaduna. Funeral service 15th July 2022 by 10 a.m. at St. Christopher's Anglican Church, 14 Sokoto Road, Kaduna. Interment follows immediately. He is survived by his adorable wife, beloved children, a grandchild, siblings, relatives, and a great number of friends. Announcer Morpheus Major Idoku for the family.
Still time to save my soul, they tell.
The Agenda. The Agenda is a public enlightenment program designed to give power back to the people through promoting political participation, issue-based campaigns, and social accountability. The Agenda is a weekly program of active citizens by active citizens for all citizens, featuring in-depth analysis, news commentary, and issue-based interviews with stakeholders in governance and electoral process. The Agenda is about you, the listener, your power to determine who leads you, setting the agenda for public office seekers and holding them accountable. The Agenda, mobilizing citizens to meaningfully engage the 2023 general elections by making sure those seeking their votes have real intentions of true representatives. Tune in every Thursdays at 9 a.m. on Invicta FM 98.9. Join the conversation via phone-in and comments on our social media handles, powered by Partnership for Issue-Based Campaigns in Nigeria, PICAN, and Invicta FM 98.9, Kaduna. The Agenda. Nigeria, my agenda. The Agenda. Arise, O compatriots, Nigeria's call obey. The Agenda. Nigeria, my agenda.
Welcome back. It's the Agenda, and talking about what we must do, what we need to do, and what to demand for from those we put forward to represent us, and those that are soliciting, as it is, for us to, make them, our representatives. And so the partnership for issue-based campaigns in Nigeria, PICAN, is ahead, to tell Nigerians out there and wherever you may be that these are the things you need to know about those you want to represent us. And more than any other time, Nigeria as we have it today, and just true to it, that some people would say that Nigeria has been bruised, that Nigeria's been bitten, and Nigerians are taking, being hit below the belt, and the suffering continues. And remember later, Fela Nicola Kukuti would say the suffering continues as it is, suffering and smiling. But are we really doing the smiling as it is now? But again, the suffering goes on. Lawrence Obiawe, let's talk about the structures and what you have on ground, and mobilizing the people with the structures you have on ground.
Okay, I think that the pain you talk about is majorly self-inflicted. It's been because we've not paid too much attention to things around us. It's because we have continue to look at the things that don't matter, ignoring the things that really matter in Nigeria. And I think that that's why we are facing what we are facing today. And my colleague has talked about the gap, the real target, the middle class, where we want the people want to get on board instead of just being docile and just staying speaking grammar to get involved. But we are not ignorant of the fact that there are still catchment of society where we need to hold, even if they were the ones participating before, we need to hold them down. So what the agenda has done is it has set up a structure. There are some that are online, there are some that are offline. This one you can categorize it in between the radio programs. We have the tech community, we have tech partners who are going to take this campaign to the social media, especially for the young people. They will engage all the social media handles that we have a website. I think as the program unfolds, you will be able to get all those handles out. Then, Yusuf Goje talked about the relationship between the middle class and those living in the village, and we've not left that to chance. We have agenda advocates at the community level who will continue to, they will also feed into, at some point, this radio program we are doing. And the whole idea is the fact that all politics is local, all governance issues are local. Public service delivery are in the communities. So we also understand the fact that these politicians will be going to communities to go and consult with them to go and campaign there. So what we have done is to build that structure that will also make even in the ones in the communities to begin to gather themselves and engage these would-be office holders on the real issues of development. As you know, if you look around, there are a lot of initiatives that is now making communities to come together prioritize their needs, keep it, and wait for the politicians. Because at the end of the day, the whole essence of the agenda is to the extent that the politicians will have to have social contracts with the communities that they are vying to represent. So that immediately after the election, signed social contract is not just rhetorics. This is what our needs are. Will you be able to do it? And that will involve almost all candidates. So that irrespective of who wins, you only hold the person that wins responsible to those promises. So there won't be denials because they are signed in paper. Then these people you talked about who control some of these narratives, the traditional institutions, the power mongers, they all belong to community. So what we are saying is to replace the darkness they have with light, with knowledge, for them to now say, okay, these are the things that are bothering us now. So when you come and say, okay, help me hold your community down for me, they say, okay, but these are the things that my community wants. Instead of the usual, please give me some money, or what position will you give me, and all that. So the structures are laid out clearly from the community to the state to the federal level. Then we're also engaging the tech community to be able to bridge that gap on social media, where we know that most of the young people are now residing.
Yusuf Goji, let me take you back a little. Not a recent one, and that's the Ekiti elections. And INEC has said that it did a good job and would want to even do better. But we all saw, what also happened there. That, last minute or last piece, let's see, we saw, again, one of the issues with, with politics in Nigeria and all of that, that money, and some would say stupendous money was at play. And, again, it influenced, what the voters, what the people were out to do. And so, how are you looking at all of this, too, when we're talking about what the agenda plans to do for the people?
Yes. So what we are looking out for is to go beyond political education or civic education to now go into the level of increasing political consciousness. People know, they are aware of everything you need to tell them about the electoral process.
Quickly, will it also be right to say that take the money, collect the money, but do what you have to do?
All right. So the critical thing is that, yes, but I don't want to subscribe to that. But for the fact that people need money, I can't say don't collect. But the reality is that if people are conscious of the implication of collecting money and selling the next 4 years, they would not do that. Because you might collect the money, but that amount being given, probably as you collect that money, on your way back home, you might be kidnapped and killed. If you're not killed, you might pay a ransom of 10 million naira for 2,000 naira or so. So you have to put it side by side with the implication, so that when you go to vote, it becomes an issue of conscience. Do I sell my birthright? Do I sell the birthright of my children? Or do I delay gratification and ensure that even if I don't enjoy today, but I have somebody there that can guarantee that my children would benefit from the system? And I think that is the consciousness that we need to put in the minds of people. We cannot discountenance the fact about money. Money will play a critical role. But we want you, even if you collect that money, let your conscience judge you. Because I can assure you, where we are today as a country, majority of Nigerians that voted don't have a right to complain. Particularly those that collected money to vote. Because once you collect money and vote, it means you have sold your right to complain, even if you're suffering, even if you're being killed, even if your children cannot have good education, even if you cannot go to hospital and access quality healthcare service delivery, you have sold that right. So the reality we must tell ourselves is that Nigerians cry and yearn for change, but we don't want to pay the price for that change to happen. So you can't eat your cake and have it. So it is left for us to decide whether we would continue to collect money and continue to suffer for it, or we can delay our gratification and put people in office that would ensure that this wealth is being redistributed along every other person. And that is why, for us, we believe that there is a critical mass out there that don't go out to vote because of money. And we want to reach that critical mass so that on their own part, they can also trickle that down to go and sensitize people, let people see the implications of that. We've seen videos of communities where these politicians go give money, they pack the money and return it back to them. And this is the only way that, because what that does to you is that if he gives you 10 naira today, if he goes to office, it means that you have given him license to steal the money that is meant to ensure that you are able to get a job. He steals the money that is supposed to ensure you get education, you get health care, and every other thing that is there. So we must understand the implication of our going to stand on the queue, of using our thumb to vote any of the candidates there. It shouldn't be out of ignorance. It shouldn't be out of only sentiments. I say only because you cannot take away those things. Religion, ethnicity, and money. No matter how we do it, will be there. Globally, it's a factor. So, but what we need to do is that those things should be complementary to the real thing. Is this guy capable of ensuring that if I am a civil servant, I would be able to earn the minimum wage of 30,000, but within that 30,000, my children can go and get access to good education. Within that 30,000, I can afford good health care for my family. Within that amount, I can ensure that I provide everything that my family needs and what have you. But if not, we will still collect these monies, and at the end of the day, we will get what, and more than any other time, whether those in government want to admit it or not, we are in a very precarious situation. I don't know whether people are looking at the implications of what is happening concurrently in terms of insecurity, unemployment, poverty, and a lot of other factors that culminate into frustration and anger at the system. So this is one period that we really need to sit back and say, if we had collected money in the past, if we had played politics of religion and ethnicity in the past, this time around, we should look beyond it, because we are already divided, and already the country is tensed, because we are now discussing Muslim ticket, Christian Muslim ticket, and I don't know how that is putting food on people's table, because that is the critical question. I have seen a situation, like I have said, President Muhammadu Buhari is a northerner, but 87% of poor people in Nigeria, according to the World Bank report, reside in the north. 50% of the poor in Nigeria reside in northwest, the president's region, where majority of the people there share the same religion with him, share the same ethnicity with him. So if it was by virtue of religion, if it was by virtue of ethnicity, then the north should be the best place. And we don't want to even talk about the impact of insecurity in the north. So these things are there, but they are not the solutions to our problems. Yes, we can use it to campaign and what have you, but we should not forget the real issue. If this man is my tribal man, or we share the same faith, would he address my challenges as a person, unemployment or whatever it is? These are the critical questions that should be before us. And that is why we are saying that we want to build a political consciousness, so that people by themselves, when they go to vote, their conscience will be the ones to judge them. So that when you vote for money, when you vote for ethnicity, when you vote for religion, as you take off your hand from the ballot paper, know the implication that you have sold your birthright for the next 4 years. And anything you see is what you will take, because you have lost your right to complain, you have lost your right to protest, you have lost your right to do every other thing, because it is a conscious decision you took. But what should determine that is what should influence your voting. It should be the issues. Is this person capable of delivering, and ensure that you set those issues?
Lawrence Obiwe, uphill task for the agenda in all of this arrangement. But again, I'm looking at the politician here, and what the agenda sets to do about the politician himself. Because again, a man of many words, a man who does not feel that promises, can be kept. Because for the politician, promises can be broken. And so he comes to the people. He meets with the people, even back, at the community levels too. And he knows, all the sweet talks that he does to get, people behind him. So if you are, in all of this arrangement, the politician, the agenda sets to, talk about how we can be influenced, with our votes and all of that. Is the agenda, also planning to meet with these politicians and meet with them and get the politician talk to the people like we are doing here? That the people too must be asking the politician questions about how do you want to go about it when we get you there?
The agenda is about accountability. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, when you talk about accountability, they think it's in Naira and Kobo. But accountability in terms of when you see a politician, if you see a politician and he's driving in big cars, he lives in good houses, he has security details everywhere, and his house is this, it is not because of his ingenuity or his brilliance. It is because the people have sent him or her to go and represent them. So naturally, a politician should always go and come back to say, okay, you say I should go and do this. I have done this. This is how I did it. So the people either clap for him or say, no, this is not what we sent to you. But that hasn't happened. Now, what the agenda is doing is to now bring those politicians to come and have, for instance, if you ask everybody, did Muhammad Buhari promise you anything? Did he come to you to say we'll do the, or did they refer you and him sign any social contract? They will tell you no. So they are not accountable to anybody because they did not promise anybody anything. Now, it's not just the promises that the agenda sets out to put, but well-defined promises. It will happen between so time and so time. This is how it will happen. I'll get my money to do it here. Then you'll be informed of this. So the politicians, this place is going to be a beehive of activity of politicians because we'll be bringing them, and we're not bringing them to come and just speak grammar. We are bringing them to come and showcase what their program is, sector by sector. Critical questions will be asked. We have experts that are part of this collaboration who will dissect every manifesto that a politician has submitted, bring out the question. And it's not just what you have submitted. We'll now also compare with the realism. Because you can go and say you are going to build 2 other bridges across Kaduna River, for instance. Do we need it? So we are matching it with the realism on ground. Where are the money as you talk? Kaduna is heavily indebted. The roads are there shining, but it has consequence on the economy. Now, when you start paying the debts, now it's very difficult even for the federal government to pay salary. And the latest news coming out is the fact that Nigeria may start defaulting in the debt repayment, debt servicing. And that's disaster. So it's not just bringing the politicians. It's them facing the reality of the Nigerian nation. For the public to attest whether these people are really prepared for the job they want to do. And again, you must understand that it's about the citizens of Kaduna State. It's about the citizens of Nigeria. What we are doing is bringing these people for the citizens, the listeners out there, to be able to assess them on their readiness. So, as Goji said, that will now begin to make them to be conscious of the decisions they are about to take. For instance, if somebody has come to this program and has spoken eloquently, and you have been able on your own with the questions and everything, you've been able to see that, okay, this person is really prepared. It will become very difficult for anybody to induce you to the extent that you go on that day and you don't want to vote for him, except maybe you are somebody naturally that likes suffer in Nigeria. But if you're looking for progress, if you're looking for prosperity, if you're looking for a peaceful society, if you're looking for a place where 18 million children will not be out of school, if you are looking for a society where since February 14th, all the universities public universities in Nigeria are shut down and nobody is talking about it, you generally expect that by this time there will be conversation around why the universities are shut down, but nobody is talking about it because the politicians understand that these are not the things that citizens are asking for. So what the agenda is setting out to do is to bring these issues to the table and say, hey, Mr. Man, these are the things we want discussed. Leave your party slogan, leave your money one side, give us an in-depth promise or analysis of how you're going to solve this and within which time you are supposed to solve it. So the politicians are going to come. they're also going to face it. As I said, there's a layer that is preparing the communities to wait for these politicians to come. So you can shout all your PDP, APC, Labour Party, ADC, and all that. But when the noise die down, you come to the business of saying, these are the things we have in these communities that are challenges for us. What are you going to do about them? When are you going to do them? How are you going to source money to do them? Then will you be able to, are you agreeing to sign a social contract that within this term that you have agreed that you're going to do it? So that alone takes the power from this individual who wants to collect money to the community who are now looking at their communal needs to use it as a balance of accountability of politicians.
So, Koji, these are trying times, difficult times too, and Lawrence had said it, when we opened on the program, that Nigeria may just be seen to be at the brink now, and so what to do to bring it back or further push it, is what we must be concerned about now. I'm looking at these times that we're in, and looking at what is playing out, that Nigerians themselves, can make a choice. But again, for all that we know about the things that we've discussed about money, ethnicity, religion, and all of that, and some people are just ready to forget and leave all of that and still do, what was done in the past and all of this. For you at this time, and you said something about, it's not about the parties, it's about the individuals and issues that the individuals can come up with these trying times and very difficult times that we're in. And looking at the parties, can we still say that it is going to be about the individuals that make up the party?
Well, yes, like you have just said last, the party is just a name with a constitution and office, but it is people that run the party. It is the integrity and the character of the people that run the party or that are contesting from the party that will determine whether we have good leaders or not. So directly or indirectly, it is about the people. The party might just be a name that has a flag with a constitution. And that is why we must look at the people, scrutinize the people running the party. Because again, one factor that we need to also even consider is don't only look at the candidate alone. Who are the people around the candidate? Because the candidate will be holed up in the Aso Rock or in Kashim Ibrahim house, while the people that will be the commissioners, the advisors, the SSGs and all of those are the ones that will be doing the day-to-day running of government. And whether you like it or not, the buck stops at the table of the leader, but these are the people that will determine whether the leader succeeds or not. So the people would always be a factor. And as regards party, unfortunately, we think political parties are only vehicles for contesting election. They are not. They are vehicles for political education. They are vehicles for democratization. But these two components, our political parties have failed to do that because it is not built on any ideology or clear-cut roadmap of where they want to take Nigeria. For example, when last did you hear any other political party come out to discuss their manifesto? It is the candidates that are saying we have manifesto. But the manifesto of the candidate is supposed to speak to the manifesto of the party. So when you're analyzing a candidate, you have to not only analyze what he's saying he would do. Is it in alignment with the manifesto of his party? Because that is the ideology his party is supposed to build. But you don't see that because largely there is no ideology. It is an association of, if I use mostly power mongers. They are all out for the power. The manifesto would only come out when they feel people talking about it and they will just get a consultant to do something just to show people. But this time around, we want to go beyond just giving us a beautiful document with fine infographics. Tell us what is inside. How realistic is it? Let's do an analysis of, for example, debt profile. What is our servicing? What is the implication of inflation on that? What is the implication of our volatile foreign exchange on that? And what is the implication of insecurity to your revenue generation? What is the contribution of micro, small, and medium businesses to your revenue generation? Because if you're not building small businesses, you can't generate big revenue. The big companies, yes, they'll bring big money, but when you put it side by side with what small small businesses can bring as revenue to government, then you find out that government should actually be paying attention to the smaller businesses. And what does that do? It's reducing poverty at the grassroots, it's creating jobs at the grassroots, it's creating wealth at the grassroots. And these are the issues that we expect candidates to come and tell us. You create jobs, how many will you create? In what sectors will you create? How will you overcome these challenges and what have you? Let's also know another factor. One of the reasons why this country is working is not because we don't have experts, we don't have the money, or we don't have the intellectuals, or what have you. It is because you have vested interest, people that are benefiting from the fact that Nigeria is not working. So how would you come with your beautiful ideas and confront these powerful people that have investment in every other sector in Nigeria? How would you handle them? Because they will not watch you take away what they have built for years, even though it might be corruptly built and it is injurious to the nation. But you know they will fight back. There will be sabotage and what have you. How do you handle those realistic situations? So it's not just about coming to speak English, I'll do this, I'll do that. There are contexts, there are issues that you must be able to explain to Nigerians how you would be able to deliver what you're saying. And that is why the individual is who will focus on. We'll bring the parties because they are supposed to also talk about their manifestos, but the candidates would also be part of these programs that would avail themselves and would engage your manifesto. We will do a review. Mr. Lawrence talked about the website. We have a website which is the agenda.ng. On that website, we'll do analysis of manifestos and put it there. Almost every statement made will capture it there because we want to document. We don't want a situation where at the end of the day, a candidate will say, I did not say it, was my lieutenants that said it, or will deny promises that they made at the end of the day. So that is there. Then the website will also provide opportunity for people to do polls based on the manifesto of this guy and this guy, this candidate and this candidate, who do you think it makes more sense or appeal to you? So these are but largely those ones will be for the tech savvy people that are online and all of you. Then we also have similar kinds of issues at the community level where through the advocates he talked about, we want to see where we can organize forums in each of the local governments or at what level where those contesting for State House of Assembly, National Assembly and what have you can also be invited to come and engage around these issues. We'll help communities to prioritize what their issues are, what their needs are, document them, and wait for every candidate that comes and they present it to him. It serves as a social contract. So that when this person is in power, what you'll be using to measure his performance is that thing he has signed. When you want to hold him accountable, you use that thing. So when he comes back 4 years after, you now bring the list. Okay, out of these 5 things you say you do, how many have you done? Because that is democracy. Because we need to take the power back to the people. We have because of apathy, political ignorance, and all of that, we have given power to a few people, and that's why most people some are not campaigning. Even the presidents, you hardly see them come to media houses. Why? Because at the end of the day, there's that mindset that all we need is time. We'll just bring money, we'll divide, we'll use the institutions. Because there's institutional rigging, and we'll just win, and it's all about strategy. And they put the people aside. So, but we want to see that it is the people that will bring these people on board, ask them these critical questions. When they answer them, then bring out and say, this is the agenda we are setting for you. In the next 4 years, this is what we want from you. And that is the relationship of the citizen side of government and the public servant sides of government, where we, the demand side, are supposed to make demands, and their responsibility is to supply what we demanded. And that is the relationship that democracy tends to establish in terms of government and governance.
Okay, the program, the agenda, first, we're having it, the first edition of it, and of course it will continue every Thursday on the station at 9 a.m. and going up to about 30. Before we ended this segment, you had Lawrence Obewe and Yusuf Goje. They're all members of Partnership for Issue-Based Campaigns in Nigeria, PCAN. Just before we go, because I'm just going to come to the audience now, and I want you listening out there to us to, what do you feel about this program? What more can you put into this program? Because it's about you. We have to take it from you and also, do the plans for the agenda. But Lawrence and Yusuf, I just like to ask you, just before we come to the people now, join us on our Facebook page, 98.9. We're getting comments that are dropping there now as I'm talking to you. We're helping Nigeria on this issue of balancing. We are at a place where Nigerians need to be talked to about the issue of balance. We all say that Nigeria is for all of us. It doesn't matter about tribe, religion, and all of that. But this has come, and from the divides of Nigeria, we're talking about tribe, we're talking about religion. On the Christian ticket, Muslim Christian ticket, Muslim ticket, and Nigerians are really up at, daggers drawn, so to say, to put it well. We're at each other's truth on this. And so if the agenda would talk, about people, to people, about shaping, how you think this will go. Lawrence, what would you come up with?
Okay, I think that why we're having issues is because the politicians are dishing out these decisions without getting the input of the public. So, and I think what the agenda is saying is, don't make decisions on behalf of the people. Allow the people to make decisions. So whether you're talking about what the ticket should be, whether it's Muslim, Christian, or Christian, Muslim, or Muslim, Christian, I think that you should leave those issues to the people, for the citizens to decide. And why am I saying that? You can take this decision, but the people will check whether your combination is more important than their lives, the jobs, the security, economy, education, healthcare system, and where they see that, okay, no, these are primordial sentiments. We don't care about this. These are the issues, and you've not told us anything about this. They make their decisions. So we are not saying that politicians will always be politicians. But what we are saying, is it possible we empower the citizens to be citizens where the politicians can plan, but they decide their future? It is one thing for you to go and buy suit. But if the owner of the body takes it away, where do you wear the suit on? So the suit is like what we talk about, whether it's Muslim, no, but it's the people that decides whether you even get into the office. So what we are saying, allow politicians to do what they are doing. But just as they are strategizing, can we as citizens strategize and decide on who among all these people can give us the best quality of service delivery that we are looking for? Because the issues are clear cut. Nobody is going to tell you about Nigeria today. We know what it is. We woke up yesterday. There was an attack in Abuja, 2 in Katsina. Even the president's convoy was affected. In the nation's capital, that is supposed to be the safest place in Africa, was hit hard. Terrorists got into there, took their fellow terrorists out, and all we are doing is doing blame game. So the issues are all cut out. So we shouldn't be bothering ourselves about whether it's Christian or Muslim or Christian. No. What we should be looking at is the quality of the individuals that are seeking public office vis-a-vis the problems they say they are going to solve. If our problem is economic and you are getting a senior advocate of Nigeria to come and solve an economic problem, does it fit? If it's health and you are getting an economist to come and say, it doesn't fit. So what we need to do is mobilize the citizens, and that's what the agenda is doing, is mobilizing the citizens to say, hey, let's focus on the issues, allow the politicians to do their own, but let's look at those candidates with the best chances of delivering some of these are solutions and get them into office, holding them accountable. So politicians can do, they are only politicians, it's just candidature. They have not become public office holders, but the citizens are the ones that are going to make them become public office holders. So it should be on the merit of what the conversation around the citizens are for them to get into office. So for me, whether it's religion or ethnicity, it doesn't matter for me. Our concern at this moment is how to mobilize the citizens of Nigeria to be able to make informed choices.
So can I?
Yes, Yusuf, yes.
So I think one of the critical thing is that, like I said earlier, we're not discountenancing the fact that religion and ethnicity is not an issue in Nigeria. It's an issue. And for development to happen, you need stability, you need peace. But the critical question is that it seems we have boxed ourselves into two parties. So if party A or party B decide to do Muslim and the other do Christian, for God's sake, we have 18 registered parties. So if your persuasion is religion, look alternatively to the other parties and go and look for candidate parties that reflect your religious inclination. But it shouldn't be brought as the main conversation for 2023. If one party decides to, that's their prerogative. It is democracy. People have a right to say from one person to down, up to down. I don't know whether it's top to down or down to top now. It will be one religion. It is the prerogative of that political party to do that. So you as a citizen, you also have the prerogative to decide whether you put to vote party A or party B. But for us, what we are saying is that while you are doing all of those considerations, let's elevate the real issues that put your position. Because if, for example, a Muslim becomes president or a Christian Muslim become president, how does that take me to heaven? Is there a ticket to seeing God? So these are critical questions that it doesn't affect my religion, as in me, my relationship with God, because there's a Christian or a Muslim ticket. After all, how many of these politicians actually practice these religions? We only use this religion as tax. But when it comes to practice, how many of them do practice it in tenants of this religion? So these issues are there, but we must understand that these are divide and rule tactics. And the politician will only play the tickets that will win him election. If he calculates that it's a Muslim ticket that will give him votes, he will do it. He doesn't care about your sentiment. If he sees that it's a Christian Muslim that will give him his votes, he will do it. But for you, the citizen, you need to set a standard for yourself to say, okay, regardless of what these guys come, even if it's a Muslim or a Christian and the same faith comes, yes, you're a Muslim, you've come to me, or you're a Christian and I'm a Christian, then let's put aside, I like you because you share the same religion, but these are the issues that are worrying you. I'm hungry, I'm unemployed, I am not secured, I can't go to farm because I'm afraid of being kidnapped. How will you address it? Because even if we share the same religion and you don't address these issues and I end up being killed, how has that helped me? So that's what we are saying. We need to put all of these issues on the table, not just focus the conversation that one party put this. Who says you must vote for the party? If you don't like it, your voter's card is there. Go and vote for the party that reflects your religion, and let's focus on the issues. That is what we want to talk about, and we know that religion at this day has been there for long, but this time around I want to say let's begin to also look at other issues that can help us get it right or start to get it right from 2023.
Let's look at the issues that can, get it right for all of us. And so we'd like to, in the course of this program, be getting your comments too. And of course, I'm sure that for you, that some people would just want to share thoughts and be part of this group, the agenda. And so, what are your thoughts? What are the questions you want to ask? Please just ask the questions on our Facebook page, Victor 98.9. Drop your comments and again talk about the things you want us to look at. On our landline, 081 40,000 989, 081 40,000 989, or 070 87 800 989, 070 87 800 989. Bring up issues that are of concern to you, and let's see how it's done. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Twalabi.
Good morning.
Good morning to your two guests.
Good morning, sir.
Your Honorable Engineer Emmanuel. I think they have spoken well. Whenever your guests, these two guests came on board, honestly, I'm very enlightened and I'm educated with the analysis. I want to ask this. Now, if you say we should engage these people, we have been engaging them and we have not seen results. I'm an advocate of, I don't mind where the president will come from, but I want a president that will give Nigeria real dividends of democracy. Lawrence just make a statement, which that has been my view, that it is what the people want, not what the politicians want. What the people want should be the one playing out. But these days we see it is what the politicians just come, put on board, and there is nothing anyone can do about it because the law gives them the power, or the law favors him to do that. Now, if you are asking us to engage them, in what way do you want us to engage them? That, yes, our engagement will make sense. Look at what happened in Lekki, the brutality. How did it end? Did it turn against them? So, in what way do you want us to engage these people that will yield great results? Because we are tired. All this issue of religion, I'm not after it. other countries that has gone far, we don't talk about religion, and they are doing well. Are we that are talking about the religion we are still left behind?
Okay.
So these politicians are selfish. It is their own interest that comes forth, not the interest of the masses.
All right.
So how do we now change the narrative of faith?
All right,
so that it will favor the common man?
Emmanuel. All right, engaging the politicians. All right, still with your calls. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Tonya Labi.
Good morning.
Good morning to your guest.
Good morning, sir.
Pius on the line.
Okay, Pius.
My just questions to your guest this morning. The agenda. Please, how are they going to just put it today or sometime to come to educate people that are there in the street to go and obtain more their own PVC? What are they doing in order to educate and sensitize people towards that direction? First, the agenda. Now, how or what are they going to do in order to bring on board those people that are contesting on this program so that people like us will engage them with good questions so that for us to know what they have for us in stock that they are going to unveil when reaching there. And is there anything that they will do that is going to make those aspirants to sign a contract? Because it is a democracy, government of the people, for the people, and by the people and for the people. Now, meaning that we are the one to elect them. And when they go there, they will create policies that is going to work for us, and we are going to see the impact. So, is there hello?
Okay, Pius,
hello?
yes.
Is there anything that they are going to do?
Okay, Pius, we got you. Right, I'll take one more. Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Yes.
Awusko from Nasarawa.
Awusko from Nasarawa, all right.
You see, religion has taken a deep division in Nigeria. No doubt about that. If that ends, there's no religious polarization, you are lying. So now, just as your discussants have said, it is now up to the people to decide which of the parties they can vote for. Politicians should do their own, we too we should do our own. And also, just as Paul said, bring these politicians to the studio so that we can engage them, so that we can know if they really are what we should vote for. And there are bodies all over. There are integrity groups, there are our own groups. You people should streamline so that you educate the masses massively so that 2023 we don't miss the target. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All right, and I'm sure that from our Facebook page we're getting comments too. Let's take one or two. Join.
All right. Well, there's some are just greetings, and okay, someone says he's enjoying the program. But Chapbaxo Nathaniel says, "Good morning, sir, and your guests. The issue of our country's politics, is the elites that have divided Nigeria, that have divided Nigeria with the issue of religion, and so on, till the poor know their rights. We won't bring down the elites." Says, may God open our eyes. And this one is from Mano the Don. Says, earnestly, the situation of Nigeria today, it is only God that would help us. And Jude Eze is asking a question. He says, good morning to all. Say, please, my question is, if that candidate cannot answer the questions being asked, does that mean he or she will not contest? That's Jude Eze from Narai. Then Gideon Sanda says, good morning, Mr. Toyalabi, and your guest has made their good analysis and submissions on the agenda, but they have to know that Nigeria is characterized with heterogeneous ethnicity and religious and religion. So, irrespective of competency, it is imperative to include all the components that make us Nigerians, which is religion, region, and possibly ethnicity, in order to avoid any section or religion or region agitating. We are all competent in our respective religions and regions, so inclusiveness should be imperative.
Okay, let me start with you, Lawrence. Take a go.
Okay, I want to make a general statement. Now, I think that one of the major problems is that maybe people are following the words of the president. Nigerians look at politics in Nigeria from top to bottom. But I think that naturally it should go from bottom to top. All politics is local. In the 2023 elections, there will be members of state houses of assembly in every constituency in Nigeria. And I think that in every constituency, you will have locals, people who belong to the same place, whether they are Muslim or Christians, contesting for such seats. It will be the same for the House of Reps. It will be the same for the Senate. It will be the same for governor. But when it comes to governorship, now is now expanding, is more compact, and all that before you get to the president. And I think that the agenda is not focusing on the president and governor alone. We are looking at the whole stretch from the State House of Assembly, because the local governments are not holding in 2023, at least not when the general election is holding, from the State House of Assembly seats up to the president. So I think that the emphasis on religion and ethnicity, I think that we are overshooting it, because that only applies majorly when it comes to governorship and maybe the president. But for us to get it right, I think that the person we are sending to the State House of Assembly is even more important, might be more important, might be more important to us, to our welfare, education and everything in Kaduna State than even the person we are electing as president. So I think that people must not choose one to be more important over the other one. Let's start from what is available to us until we aggregate it to the president. I think that the questions, for instance, the members of House of Assembly, we will see the candidates more than we'll see the president. There are communities that will not see the president come to their place to come and campaign. So if those communities are more bothered about the religion and ethnicity of the president, I think that is misplaced priority. So let's take what is available to us and take it. Now, let me go through some of the questions. Engineer Emmanuel was asking for how to engage the politician. Maybe he joined the program late. I think we have laid that out. Somebody was asking how to get the politicians. I think Pius, get the politicians to the studio. And I think we also laid that out. Once the program, this is the median edition, subsequently you see politicians coming here to come and tell the people of Kaduna State what they are going to do for them, or people of Nigeria what they are going to do for them. And these citizens, the listeners who are listening out there, will have opportunity to ask questions, real-time questions to these politicians, as long as they are asked civilly, not insulting people. So you will be able to make up your mind from what the input of the politician, whether he's qualified to represent you or not. And I think that also applies to Awusko, who was asking if the person can't speak English, does it mean that the person is disqualified? I think that you couldn't answer questions. So you out there will be able to answer. The whole idea is to bring these people closer to you, open them up to talk to you. You will decide the question. This platform, it must be stated clearly, is a non-partisan platform. We are not campaigning for anybody. Our own is to bring these politicians to talk to the people who own power, because citizens and listeners are the owners of power in Nigeria. So ours is to bring them to come and talk to them. Making up your mind on what to do will be left to you. Let me pass to Goje whether he has something to add.
All right. So I think Engineer, let me just touch a bit about what he talked about, that they've been engaging without results. So one of the things that I think we need to do when we don't get results is to sit back and reevaluate how have we been engaging. Have we been engaging rightly? Because for you to engage effectively, I know the interest is there, but secondly, you need to be informed. Because when you come on the table and you engage them and you don't have facts and figures and information that will make them understand that this person really understands what he's talking about, usually you don't get that kind of result. Then you also have situations where when we come in contact with this political class, rather than focus on discussing the issues, we focus on Labai and all of that, greetings and all of the pleasantries. And at the end of the day, unfortunately, some even go to the extent of telling them, this is my problem. Can you help me? Don't consider everybody. And by the time he removes money and give, then everybody is shouting and we forget probably why we do. So I'm not saying that's the real situation and everything, but that is why we have this program where we'll continue to discuss on how citizens, electorates can strategically engage with these candidates and including those in office, because we have those in office that are still contesting. So we'll also discuss around what are the strategies for them to engage. So I urge him to be part of this program. Today is just an introduction, so we won't take time discussing the how of engaging these politicians. I think that's one area. Then I think the man on Facebook, is it Gideon or so, that talked about heterogeneous nature of Nigeria, ethnicity, region. We are not saying that these are also issues. So we are not also saying that religion is not an issue. It's an issue because one fact about governance is that equity, justice, and fairness are critical components of governance. So if the person is competent and he's not fair, he's not just, and he's not equitable in how he carries out, then we are still at ground zero, if I use that word. You understand? Until we are able to get leaders that, yes, on one hand are competent, and on the other part, appreciate the diversity of this country and reflect it. But as regards people choosing who their running mates are, that is their prerogative. So you also have a prerogative not to vote for them because they don't reflect the issues that you want them to address. So I think what we are saying is that it's not that it's not important, but these are you have the right, your PVC has the right to vote the 17 or 18 registered political parties. So if party A is not giving you what you want, that is why it is democracy. So we are now saying that, yes, we understand that freedom of yours. But what you don't have freedom of is choosing a bad leader and the consequences of choosing a bad leader. You don't have an option or control over that. So if we don't get the issues right, if we don't discuss the issues, if we don't bring out the issues, if we don't get these politicians to commit to these issues, at the end of the day, we'll get bad leaders into leadership. And when the consequences begin to hammer on us, we have nobody but to blame but ourselves. Even though we'll be insulting the leaders at the top, but indirectly, the four other fingers are pointing back at us because at the end of the day, we made those choices.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay,
yes, there is one question we missed, the one from Pius. He was talking about strategies to mobilize people to register for their PVC. And I want to say that in the program, there's a segment that gives political updates. And in that place, we expect election updates. So in that segment, we expect that we'll give a roundup of what is happening in terms of PVC collection and the areas people are going to concentrate, because INEC, I think they have a way of moving around their concentration area. So those updates will be coming here and people will be encouraged to go and register for their PVC.
Okay, let me just squeeze in one or two calls and bring it to a close. Hello, good morning. Okay, Mr. On that. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Kong.
Good morning.
Good morning to you again.
Yes,
Good morning.
your name, where you are calling from.
This is Comrade Opposite of the city, coming from Ghana.
Okay, comrade. Okay.
Yeah. My point is that your guest is from diversity and it emphasize on religion. Actually, we have a situation where the leaders right now and the ruling party are emphasizing on religion. And anybody that emerges a leader can control the religion of profession or using the law. So I think we should get it right. And since the government of power right now have the institution of INEC,
other electoral institutions, which they could use to their own advantage. So it is very important that we emphasize on this religion issue. You cannot have a religion ruling party, and they are telling us that we should not talk about religion. Why are they emphasizing on Muslim people? It's Muslim for, it's Nigeria for only Muslims, and because they know they can use the institution of government to reach power for themselves, and that is why they are saying go to hell. We can do Muslim, and we can enact. I think the majority of Nigeria will have this. That is one. What I'm very serious about this is the thing. Recently, the security minister he said there is no alcohol, clubs and bars is closed 7. These are religious people are bringing into government. So we must differentiate between religion and government. And any leader that is coming to become a leader must really separate himself from religion and deal with the constitutional issue and what the constitution asks you to do. Not bringing some kind of ethnic or religion laws into our own national law. That is perfect. So I think the religion issue is more important. We should talk about it and get it right now. Take a for instance of Kaduna. The government is telling us not to Muslims again. And they know they can use the speaker of the INEC and the police and whatever and read their setting and they think they can do without the other side. And we see these are issues that we must deal with. That is what we suppose.
Okay, finally. Yes. Okay, finally.
And finally, you see, there is this issue that we neglect and we ignore. You see, this polling units. You see, we must go back and know the numbers of polling units and who gets what. Because you even started from the polling units. And if some part of the state are giving more polling units than the other, and you say everybody go and do PVC, it doesn't matter if everybody do PVC and we are getting in the days of polling units and some people having a party of polling units over others, the region must be continued and some people must begin, some people will be afford other people as far as the election is concerned.
Okay, comrade. Okay. Yes, we got you. Your concerns about polling units, right? Okay, we got you on that, and of course, religion that we cannot you can't take it away, so to say. Lawrence, quickly.
Okay, I think that when you talk about the polling unit, one of the very good thing about this program is the fact that the institutions will also be coming here from time to time. So there'll be time when INEC will come here. So every question you have to ask to INEC, you ask them, and they will provide those answers. We don't belong to INEC, so there are questions we cannot answer. But one thing we must promise is the fact that we'll bring some of these institutions face to face, if it's police, if it's National Retention Agency, if it's Independent National Electoral Commission, so that the citizens can also ask them questions. So that we can do. Now, when it comes, I think Goje has dealt with that. If your issue in this election is religion, then I think that it will inform your voting. So what I don't want to get into is start discussing what politicians are doing. I prefer to discuss what citizens are going to do. So as he said, they are all important, whether religion, ethnicity, but alongside so many other most important issues. So if they are the ones that form the basis for your issues around the election, then you vote according to that line. But I don't want us to keep discussing because the politicians, no matter what you do, will always be politicians. What they are trained to do is to play politics. Citizens belong to a society so that they can hold leaders to account. And that's what we want to concentrate during this period.
Okay, Yusuf, just before we go.
Well, it is time to take our destinies into our hands. Let's understand that there's no better time for us to ensure that we bring the best hands to take Nigeria from this very, very precarious situation we find ourselves. Our future depends on it. That of our children depends on it. So, but one thing we all Nigerians must know is that our choice will determine the consequences we will face in the future. So whatever is what we give, that we will get at the end of the day. So we should be conscious of that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Job, this is coming in from Facebook. I see it's a lengthy one. We'd like to that. Okay. And Lawrence Obewe, I'd like to also thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us today.
Yes. It's the first edition of it, the agenda that we're having today. More will come, and as you've heard from them, they bring in the stakeholders, they bring in those that will talk to you and the questions that you ask, be part of this conversation. Thursday, Next week, we'll have them back in the studios, or we'll have new sets of people. But again, just stay with us, and all you need to know about, how you go about, making your choices will be discussed on the program, The Agenda. I'd like to thank Yusuf Koje once again. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for
and Lawrence Bewe, thank you for also coming in. These are, members of Partnership for Issue-Based Campaigns in Nigeria, PCAN. Job Daniel, thank you for connecting us with the people today. And Wisdom, we thank you for putting us in the pictures. We'll come back with The Agenda next Thursday. Good morning.